So we have more stories for you, starting off with Michelle Obama. So she spoke at a women's conference over the weekend in LA, and I am pulling up my script to tell you more about it. But here's the idea, guys. She spoke at the conference, was talking about how children need great role models in life, but she also talked about how women perhaps were a cause of Hillary Clinton not being elected into the office. And she had some words to say about that. So you guys check it out, and then we'll talk about it.
In light of this last election, I'm concerned about us as women and how we think about ourselves and about each other and what's really going on. I mean, I think more about what is going on in our heads where we let that happen, you know? So I do wonder, what are young girls dreaming about if we're still there, where when the most qualified person running was a woman, and look what we did instead. I mean, that says something about where we are.
Okay, so she goes on to further her point, but one thing that really sticks out in this is, what are women thinking about that allowed us as a collective to vote a man into presidency who was not necessarily, in her opinion, the best suited candidate for the position? So this morning, this morning we asked you guys, how did you feel about this? I put up a post on our Facebook page to gauge how you're feeling. And one thing that I pointed out is that 62% of women that are white, not college-educated women, voted for President Trump in the election. And if there's any group of women that maybe Michelle was speaking to, it could have been that group, but she didn't reference any specific subset of women. Instead, she said women as a whole should have collectively come together and done something about the fact that we had a very qualified woman as a presidential candidate and do something about it. So I want to know from you guys, before we go into this next part of the story, how you feel about what she said. Do you think that women didn't do their job in the voting process to get Hillary Clinton elected? Or do you think, nope, due process happened. The person who was supposed to be president is president.
Hi. I just joined.
Michelle Avon is here, everyone.
Graphics for tomorrow. Okay, she can't have it both ways. I love Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Here's the thing. She is priding herself on being this wonderful first lady, which I think she is.
Okay.
Or it has been the past,
Yes.
8 years. However, she's saying that we need a woman president, which I also think we need.
Okay.
You can't have both sides of the spectrum in one statement. You can't say, I'm all about first ladies being wonderful role models, being this wonderful thing.
Okay.
But, we should also make a woman president. Well, we had the opportunity, but, America voted. That's what happened.
I don't know that I see her on different sides of the pendulum, so to speak, on this topic. I see her as being this voice for women. Regardless of political orientation, she just seems like a very calm, put together, very educated woman who raised two wonderful children, one of which who is in an Ivy League college. You just see her as this authority figure. And so for her to go out and speak to women in such a way where they might feel like, shoot, maybe I did something wrong, I think that's made quite an impact. So much so that people have been chiming in on our Facebook page all morning to talk about it. Jackie Cedar says that the title of Forever First Lady, and I will get to this in a second, she called herself the Forever First Lady. And that is because Nick Cannon introduced her as such at the very beginning of her speech. So while there is controversy about her calling herself the Forever First Lady, she didn't come up with the title herself. So what are you going to say? I
think there's a key distinction. She said your Forever First Lady versus the Forever First Lady. That's a key distinction, because I think what she was trying to get across in saying your Forever First Lady, meaning that the people that came to see her speak have a vested interest.
Right.
Yeah, they have some interest in her or appreciation of her.
It's her event.
Yeah, exactly. It's her event. So they're looking up to her. So she wants to be a role model, as she was as the First Lady. She no longer is. The term president you keep forever, but First Lady, I don't believe, it's an unofficial term.
Former First Lady.
Yeah, exactly. So she's just trying to say, even though the presidency is over and my role in that is over, I'm going to be there for you in that role as your Forever First Lady versus that's a key distinction.
Yeah,
because
very good point.
if people start throwing around the term that she said, I'm the, that's a total different connotation.
It's a disrespect to Melania. Who
Yeah,
is a
exactly.
current-
And there's
yeah.
nothing worse as an individual than being misquoted.
Yes.
Because then all these false
misinterpreted.
assumptions and people just go to town with it, and the whole point is lost, and it's morphed into something that are not even your own words.
Well, you set this up perfectly because I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to actually hear what she said in her own words. So listen to it, and then we'll speak to some of your comments.
We'll find out.
She said.
I know you have everything it takes to succeed. I know that you are me. And if I can be standing here as your forever First Lady, then you can do anything you put your mind to.
I can tell in that the crowd went wild after she said that, but as Rob said, the people in the crowd were her supporters to begin with. So you're going to get a round of applause. However, some people have chimed in on our Facebook page saying it's not necessarily the case for them, like Nola Odins, who said, not in a gazillion years is Michelle Obama her forever First Lady, saying that this isn't a monarchy like in England. We have a First Lady for a period of time, and then we move on. But then Gabby Richards says she was at the event. She was the one that gave me the information about Nick Cannon having introduced former First Lady Michelle Obama as the forever First Lady.
In context, right.
Exactly. But it's so helpful to have viewers that are actually there and can give us that feedback. So thank you to Gabby Richards for that. Then we have Cheryl DeChico, who says she received 8 years. That's enough. And I'm sure she was joking. But truth be told, she's probably happy to be off of that White House role anyway. So there we have it.
So, yeah, and to that point, I think she's just saying once a First Lady, always a First Lady. I mean, if I had an experience of a lifetime like that, the ups and the downs, like if people who were fans of me, I'll always be that to you. It's sort of, I don't even see that as like a controversial thing. But going back to your original question, which was about whether or not she was implying that women were to quote unquote blame, according to her, for President Trump, in office. My only issue with that is, was she insinuating that women should have voted for Hillary simply for the fact that she's a woman? So did gender, just regardless of the fact, and she does say that, yes, she was the most qualified, according to her, according to her. But what I'm getting from this, and again, we're only hearing bits and pieces of her conversation, is that women should have voted for Hillary because she was a woman. And so I want to bring in Jessica Downey, who says, honestly, I wanted Bernie, but I did vote for Hillary in the end. It does say something that we voted. And then there was, Jackie Birch says, I don't vote for a woman because she's a woman. Hillary Clinton is dishonest. I voted for the lesser of two evils. That's how much I dislike her. So there are women who were very much against Hillary, and that maybe if it was another woman in that position, then they would have voted otherwise. So that's my only takeaway from
something I watched the speech in its entirety, and something that Michelle clearly points out is that women hold each other to this higher standard of conduct, whether that's emotional, political,
absolutely,
all sorts of conduct, a higher standard than maybe they hold men. And this is one of the cases where she's saying, in holding our woman to the woman candidate that we have to a higher standard than a man who, she says, insulted and disrespected women, that is where she says there's a problem. We need to get to a place where as women we support each other and we can see each other on a level playing field and not hold each other to higher standards than we do our male counterparts.
But a little unfair to the women who truly did not like Hillary and didn't believe in her.
Right. You know, I feel like there is this assumption for many years that if a woman was ever nominated as the presidential candidate, she would automatically win on either Republican or Democrat, just because women would put everything, their politics aside, and vote and say, this is our moment to make a statement. But I think, you know, the last couple of times there's been women as a vice presidential candidate, say Sarah Palin, and then now Hillary Clinton, that I think what people have now understood is that actually the politics really do matter more than gender, more than anything. And to assume anything otherwise is probably a bad assumption, because if anything, it shows that women have a diverse view of politics.
And that just because it's a woman doesn't always mean that the woman's going to be.
Right, and in the voting booth, it's you and your opinions, and nobody knows how you voted.
That's so true.
I mean, you just vote how you want to vote, and that's it.
I think 2020 will be very telling because I foresee more women candidates on the ballot to begin with. And so if you have more women to choose from, maybe you'll find your political values align with one more than they did with Hillary, and it'll be interesting to see how the women's vote shakes out in 2020.
I just can't think of any woman right now at the top of my head who I would want for a woman president.
Oh, I can. I'm not going to say it, but I can. I can three.
Well, we need to talk, yeah, because I really can't. Maybe I'm just having.
Well, you guys let us
right
know.
Now.
Is there a woman? Is there a woman that you guys have in mind who'd like to see president? My hope is that in the future there is a woman that I can identify with, man or woman. I mean, I would love for it to be a woman simply for the fact of the kids behind us, right? To see that, hey, all dreams are possible. Something can be done. For you to be at the leader of the free world, you as a woman can be in that position. That would be a beautiful thing, but it has to be the right woman, because if it's not, then that woman fails, then oh, look what happens. When a female's in charge, she fails. So I think—
She speaks that too.
Go ahead, what did Michelle say?
I didn't even remember that part. She spoke to how she is impressed by how well men fail upwards, meaning they do something tragic, something that to a woman would have destroyed their career, but they seem to come out smelling like roses. And I don't know if she didn't specifically reference Donald Trump in this, but painting a picture, somebody who was caught on video saying things about women.
Talking about the Billy Bush incident where he says, I want to grab her by the pee.
Exactly. To have something like that happen to a man, had something like that happened exactly the same, but using different genitalia to a woman.
I want to grab him in a pee.
Exactly. Oh, same word. Yeah. Or same letter.
Different word, same letter.
Anywho, that the result would have been drastically different. And I could see that. I could totally see that. I don't know.
I just can't see a woman saying that. Because that's not the kind of things we say. I'm going to grab that guy by his pee. We don't do that.
That's news to me.
Oh my God. Okay.
Thanks so much for watching the ABC 10 Information Network. If you want to see more stories just like this one, all you've got to do is click subscribe.